What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Swanky Disc Golf. It is a rainy day here in Georgia, so that means we're tier list ranking some underrated discs today. The criteria for this is really non-existent. We're just going over discs that we don't usually get to talk about, some discs that are pretty heavily underrated, and we're going to be rating them on partially how good they are, but partially just how underrated they are. Are they based? Are they actually not even that good? There's some really cool discs on this list that I'm excited to share with you guys. Before we jump into it, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Vessi. A lot of you have probably been hearing about Vessi shoes lately. We're here to highlight our favorite shoes that they put out. That is the Vessi Stormburst High Tops. Reed and I have both been rocking these shoes for quite a while now, and we absolutely love them. Genuinely the most waterproof shoe out there that you can get. They're super comfortable. They're super grippy. We often go out on the course after it rains or in the morning when there's a bunch of dew on the ground, or we throw our disc into a creek, and I cannot express to you how many times these shoes have come in clutch for us. They've genuinely improved our game because I can't tell you anything worse than walking around the course with soaking wet feet all day, especially if you have like a morning round or something like that. Vessi is the real deal, and you can use our link in the description to get 15% off your first order. When you buy the shoes, they come with a 1-year warranty, free shipping for orders over $110 in North America, 30-day returns, and 30-day exchanges. Be sure to go down, use the link in the description, get 15% off your first order, and try out Vessi Stormburst High Tops. They also have a wide variety of shoes for every occasion, but for us, the High Tops have been our favorite for disc golf specifically. These are an incredible disc golf shoe. Big shout out to Vessi for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. All right, without any further ado, let's jump into it. Like I said, these are going to be discs that we just don't get to feature too often on our tier list videos. So I'm very excited to be bringing them to you. First off, we have the Doomsday Discs Despair. What do you think about this one, Reed?
The Despair. That's the overstable mid-range, right? That we shot. I can't even remember the video. Was it a starter set?
I think it was a starter set video, yes.
Low key, it was flying great. And we got a bunch of comments from people like the Despair is super slept on. It was flying great for us, like gentle turn and then pretty hard and reliable fade at the end, if I remember. Actually a great disc. I love Doomsday on the low key.
Yeah, the plastic felt really good, and it's super cheap. Doomsday, I'm up for disc golf companies that can bring us discs at really budget prices. So the tiers
Definitely.
we have here are Swanky tier, meaning it's super underrated and super good, and you should bag it. We have A tier, which is just like, it's underrated, it's good. B tier, I would say, is just like, yes, it's underrated. Then we have based. Our C tier is just based, like it's not really underrated. It's just there. And then we have not good all the way at the bottom. It's not only is it not underrated, it's not a good disc.
It's overrated.
It's overrated.
Somehow overrated.
Where do you want to put the Despair?
The Despair feels like a good A-tier candidate to me because it is slept on and it is a good disc. Maybe it's not like an everyone's bag right away, but it certainly is something you should go out and try.
Absolutely.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, keeping it in Doomsday, we have the Landmine. The Landmine is not very well known, but if you've heard of it, you know it's a crazy disc. It's a really strange disc. Also super cheap. I feel like you can get them for like $7 was the last I saw. I don't know how to best describe this to you, except for the shape and general feel of the disc is very 90-degree angle based, very blocky. And it's huge. Oh, yeah. It's massive. It's like a dinner plate. Yeah, it's a very interesting disc. It's a 2-speed, overstable. I think it's literally like 2202 or something weird like that.
Yep.
You've thrown the Landmine.
I have thrown the Landmine. I'm not a Landmine guy. It feels like more than any disc I've ever felt. It feels like the lid to a tub of ice cream. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like it's basically the same size as one of those as well. So to me, it is maybe even just, I don't know. It's probably just based. I mean, people, it is what it is for me.
It's not very well known, but I wouldn't call it underrated. I wouldn't say, like, this is a disc you need to know about. It is a fun disc. Exactly. It's a weird disc. For any of those of you out there who really like to pursue discs that are just not normal, I know there's a whole scene of people out there who like these niche kind of strange discs. This is for you. The Landmine's crazy. One of the weirder discs in existence. Very cool. Up next, we have the Clash Discs Peppermint. The Peppermint is kind of representing Clash Discs here. Clash Discs is starting to become a lot more well-known, especially here in the States. It wasn't at first, and it's really building popularity. So I feel like a lot of people now know about the salt, the cookie, the soda. The Peppermint, I feel like, might be a little bit less well-known because they started their first overstable approach disc was the Mint. The Mint was not quite as overstable as I think they were hoping. People still liked it, but it wasn't a true beefy zone type of disc. So they came out with the Peppermint, and this one is, I would say, even slightly more overstable than a zone. It's more like a Toro type of disc. But really nice. Clash Discs plastic, incredible. Where are you putting this one, Reed?
This one might have to go Swanky for me. It is definitely slept on. People talk about the Mint, just like you said, and dude, the Peppermint is so good. It's right between a Zone and a Zone OS, making it a very usable disc for a lot of people. It feels really good in the hand. It's a little deeper than the Zone, so if you don't like that, maybe stick with the Zone. But it feels incredible for me, and Clash they always deliver. The plastic's
incredible. Yeah. Absolutely. Notably, Overthrow Disc Golf has been hyping up the Peppermint for a long time now. Josh from Overthrow absolutely loves the Peppermint. And the plastic is the highlight for me, but also the mold being slightly more overstable than a Zone is super useful. Up next, we have one that I just reviewed recently. We have a little bit of Thought Space plastic here. I feel like Thought Space is also one that's starting to become much more popular. It's made in the U.S. It's manufactured by MVP, so the plastic's incredible. The Thought Space Mana is the disc I reviewed recently, understable mid-range, and it's beautiful. It's, I think, underrated because Thought Space has some other molds that are more popular, and in the understable mid-range game, maybe this is just confirmation bias, but I personally don't know anyone who throws one or bags one, and they just came out with this Ethos soft plastic, which is usually when companies come out with soft plastic, it's way too soft or way too gummy. This one had a proper amount of give. The softness really just gave it a textured kind of grippiness. It wasn't super gummy, like you can't fold the disc in half, but it also flew like a dream. It was beautiful. Their marketing's incredible. I'm going to put it in A tier because it's just a banger, and there's nothing else to say about it. I know you haven't probably gotten the chance to throw it yet, but
I haven't, but based on that fact alone, it's probably underrated. I mean, I've never even thrown it. I didn't even know it existed until you started talking about it, and the Pathfinder is really the only mid from them that anyone ever talks about. So
yes, I'd call it underrated for sure. Not a lot of people know about it. I think they came out with the Ethos soft plastic for the Mana recently, or the Mana in the Ethos soft plastic recently. Most people talk about the Pathfinder, which is also a great disc, really straight flying, but the Mana, super underrated. Up next, we have the Thought Space Praxis, going back to one of their first molds. It's a approach disc, a 3-speed. They also came out with an Aura soft or a Ethos soft plastic for it recently. What do you think about the Praxis?
The Praxis is a good disc. I struggle to see it as underrated like the Mana because it's probably their most popular throwing putter, if not their most popular putter at all. So I would put it in B tier probably, right? I mean, just good disc.
It's a good disc, not super
barely
underrated.
Considered underrated. Yeah.
But because Thought Space as a company is underrated, kind of a lot, not super well known, a lot of their discs are just going to be underrated because they're all incredible discs. They're manufactured by MVP. They have the coolest. I feel like their big draw is their marketing, is their stamp design and stuff like that. They do a really good job, and that's what sets them apart typically. But great, they have a great selection of molds, and the Praxis is great, but it's not game-changing or anything, and a lot of people have probably heard about it by this point.
Agreed.
Kastaplast is next. We have the Kastaplast Yarn. Speaking of overstable approach discs, this
The
one's tough for me
Yarn.
because I feel like a lot of people know about it now, but I still never see anyone backing it.
Yeah, I think that the Yarn is got to be just based, honestly. It's great. It's not even like, I'm not even putting it in based because it's bad.
Yeah.
It's based because people know about it to a degree. Maybe it's B tier. Maybe it belongs in B. I don't know.
I might put it in
Do I
B
know
tier
about the Yarn
because-
more than most people? That's possible. I've got the
Yeah.
Ultra Ball Yarn behind me in this shot right now. Yeah, I love the Yarn. But it definitely had a moment in the sun, I feel like, where everyone was throwing it, and it's not talked about so much anymore. So perhaps
That's true.
it is B tier, and it
I
has
would put
become
it
a little
in B
underrated.
tier. If we were just talking about how good of a disc it was, it would be an A tier, Swanky, or whatever. It's an incredible disc. A lot of people do know about it. I feel like it's still underrated, though, because I just never see anyone throwing it. And again, might just be where I live in the group of people that I see playing. But I never see. Everybody still bags the Zone. Everybody still bags the Toro or the Pig. And I just don't see it thrown enough for me to be like, that's. And also, we talk about discs a lot. We know more Kastaplast than a lot of people do. People know Kastaplast for the Berg for some reason when the Yarn is out there. Just one of the best overstable approach discs of all
Just
time.
one of the goats. Yeah,
one of the goats just getting slept on. I think it's underrated, but it's. I guess a lot of people do know about it. I think we're just so many people are so stuck in their ways. If you're a new disc golfer looking for your first overstable approach disc, try out the Peppermint. Try out the Yarn. These discs are incredible. Before you get hooked on the Zone, because the Zone is great, super consistent. But sometimes, I wish I would have tried something else first, because the Yarn is so good.
Until you became a Zone addict.
Yeah. Staying in Kastaplast, we're going to the Svea. Have you ever thrown the Svea?
Svea. Yes. We have the Svea in one of the
This is
OG starter set
incredible
disc challenges,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yep, fantastic mid. Like one of their first truly understable discs that they released.
Very understable.
I guess maybe the Falk was probably one of the first, but the Svea was, when it came out, it was game-changing for their mid-range game.
Super understable mid-range, and I want to call it underrated. I think it is underrated to the general masses, but if you're a Kastaplast thrower, the Svea is probably your favorite disc, or at least one of them. Or the Berg. If you're a Kastaplast fan, you know and love the Svea for sure. But there's just not many Kastaplast fans. There are a lot of Kastaplast fans, but compared to the big boys, like I said, I see the way more often thing that I see people pull out is the Innova and Discraft disc. Somebody will pull out a Mako 3 or a Buzz SS, and I rarely see people reaching for the Svea. And the Svea is incredible.
Yeah.
I would say
For
much
sure.
better than, in my opinion, the Buzz SS or the Mako 3. And for that reason, I think I'll put it in B tier also. Underrated, for sure. But if you're a Kastaplast fan, it's literally your favorite disc. Like I said, that might not be true, but anytime we do Kastaplast videos, they don't get as many views as other videos do. But people are always saying, like, you got to try this Svea, you got to try this Svea. It's game-changing because it is very good. But underrated, not super crazy underrated. The next disc is going to be the Grim, which I know Reed has strong feelings about the Grim. Technically out of production, readily available everywhere.
Readily available. Go get one right now. Before I rank it, go get it.
They're not actually out of production. You can go to discgolfdealsusa.com, use our link in the description for 10% off, and they have plenty of Grims.
They're getting
and
you a
Grim
Grim.
X's. Yeah.
They're hooking you up.
What do you think, Reed?
Yeah, the Grim is slept on so hard, especially with it being out of production, kind of replaced by the Voss, but that is misinformation because the Grim is still in production. I don't see how it's not, unless nobody is buying one, which if that's the case, let me rectify that right now. Everybody go buy one. It is so good. Forehand, backhand, it's like my go-to driver. I have a bunch of backstock from when they announced that they were going to discontinue it, and now I feel like a moron for that because it's definitely still around, like so easy to find.
They're
So
literally
anyway,
everywhere.
A tier at least, I would say.
Yeah, I would say A tier because this one is definitely less well known for what is really a not super understable, but pretty understable 12 speed. that I feel like is a pretty highly sought after type of disc, an understable driver, and not as many people are throwing it. The Grim's really good. K1 plastic, the best in the world.
So nice. Best of the best.
Yeah, go get you one. Disc Golf Deals USA, you can find them. But I don't see how they can be out of production. We go to tournaments sometimes, and the Kastaplast booth is selling them. So it's like they either had a crazy backstock or they're lying. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Up next, we have the Latitude 64 Keystone. And I put this one specifically on the list. I've thrown it before. I think you've thrown it before. But it's like Latitude 64 fans know it, but I think it's the least popular putter from Latitude 64. Sure. And it's really good. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, with pures and daggers, it kind of gets caught in a place where there's a pretty hefty lineup of putters over there. Yeah. And then you have the dynamic putters like the Judge taking up room from that category as well. So surely there are going to be discs in that slot that get slept on.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd put it in B tier. It's super I think it's underrated because it's just nobody knows about it. And it's not necessarily game-changing, but it is a really good putter. We threw it even, and I think it's just the fact that none of the pros have picked it. Like the Pure is so popular. And it's not the same. I can't remember what the flight numbers are, but it's pretty darn similar. It's pretty straight flying. Yeah, I think it's underrated. I think the Keystone's a great disc. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And I should, of course, say there's thousands of discs out there. This is just like 30 of them, so let us know what we missed in the comments. Up next is the Explorer. So this is an interesting one. It's on Disc Golf Valley, probably one of the most popular discs on Disc Golf Valley. But it's 7502, and it's one of those ones that I don't think I've ever seen somebody in person throw a Destroyer or an Explorer. Sorry.
Yeah, Explorers are. I feel like they're definitely not underrated. It kind of sits in the Keystone spot for me, where it's like, but even less so. The Keystone gets lost in its own lineup. I think the Explorer stands out in its own lineup. It's just that for open bag people, it doesn't stand out because you're fighting with a ton of quality molds, namely the T-Bird. I mean, there's everybody's got one, and the Explorer is probably at the bottom of the list, right? But for a Latitude player, everybody's got an Explorer in their bag, and that can't be said for the Keystone, so I'd throw it in based. If it was me.
Interesting.
If it was me, you could argue B tier across the entire scope of disc golf.
No.
But
across the entire scope of disc golf, I think it's close to A tier just because, again, I've seen a lot of things thrown, but I literally have never seen somebody throw an Explorer. Maybe Gabe has an Explorer, our friend Gabe.
I've got an Explorer, but I don't throw it.
Wow. Right. It's probably base, though. I probably just need more friends that don't throw Discraft and Innova. I agree. I think it does just fall under the shadow of Discraft Athena, Innova T-Bird, even the Instinct from Discmania. Every company has a really good 7502, but I think it's one of the best slots in the bag, 7502. We can't have enough of them, and Latitude 64 Plastic's incredible. I would maybe put it higher on the list because I just don't see anyone throwing them, but a lot of people do know about it, so it might not be underrated. It might just be based. We'll leave it in base for now. Up next, moving into some Discmania, we have the Paradigm. I didn't include too many from Discmania, but a couple here. The Paradigm is, I felt like I basically the reason I have it here is because when it originally came out, a lot of people were super hyped about it and felt like it was going to be the next big, not the next big thing, but next big thing for Discmania at least, an understable 12-speed. We know that these are, like I said, super popular discs, but it kind of fizzled out. I don't see a ton of people throwing it, and maybe it's because it's not a good disc. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think it's kind of like we all thought it might pair really well with the Enigma, and I think it just became a little too understable. Where like when you're trying to pair something with the Enigma, it was always going to be understable because the Enigma is already kind of understable when you throw it hard and flat. So it's like, I just think we were looking for something that maybe didn't quite exist in the way we wanted it to. And for me, it kind of just fizzled. It never found its way into my bag after we tested it. So,
yeah, I agree. I don't know what to say. It might be not good. I feel like it was a miss.
Low key.
It's not. I don't know. It's not necessarily not a good disc. It's like, how can you just call a certain disc that does what it does not good? It's an understable 12-speed.
Well,
but I feel like the slot in the bag
are just not good.
That's true. Like the Berg, but
I mean,
this. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think the Paradigm, it probably bombs for somebody. It's probably somebody's dream disc. So there's definitely someone in the comments of this video like, the Paradigm is my favorite disc. And that is true of pretty much all discs. But for me, it just doesn't, it doesn't do enough differently. And it sort of sits in this ambiguous distance driver land of something that just doesn't work well for what I want it to do. So.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in not good, but not because it's not a good disc, but because maybe because it's not a good disc. I don't know.
Well,
let us know if you strongly disagree. This is our personal opinion. I have no hard feelings about the Paradigm, but it is weird. I don't know. I was super excited about it, and I threw it, and I was like, I would rather throw a beat-in Enigma or a DD. That's going to be, like, much more understable. The next disc on the list is the Enigma. I put the Enigma on here because I feel like to the general populace, it's not super popular. When we were at the Discmania warehouse, I feel like they even looked down on people who threw the Enigma because they were like, just be a man and throw a DD3.
I refuse.
I know, but the Enigma is fantastic. Really good disc, especially if you can get it in vapor plastic. They come out with that vapor plastic once in a decade, but the vapor plastic for the Enigma is phenomenal. What do you think, Reed?
I mean, this was my first real go-to distance driver. I absolutely love it. The DD3 is too much. I don't know what those guys in Colorado are on. They are actually, what they're on is just crazy distance. All of them can throw so far.
Yes.
So obviously the Enigma is like a DD to them. The Enigma is awesome for me. And I actually throw Grims now, which are flippier than DD or than Enigmas. So that's hilarious. But I love the Enigma. If it weren't for the Grim and the Strive kind of kicking them out, they would still be in my bag. I love them so much.
And I would say it's underrated based on the fact that everybody knows the DD3 and not as many people know the Enigma.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to put it in A tier because for Swanky tier, I feel like it has to be crazy, crazy underrated. And this one's just straight up underrated, phenomenal disc. It's not like nobody in the world knows about it, and it's a completely hidden gem. And then I have the Maestro from Discmania on here, kind of just representing the active line from Discmania. Some people know it now because of their starter sets. I was going to put the Taylor in or something like that. Those ones are even less well known because they came out more recently. But the Maestro and the active line, with the exception of probably the Sensei, because some people putt with the Sensei, the active line is not super well known. It is the budget outsourced to China Discmania brand. And I put the Maestro on here to kind of represent that. But the Maestro specifically, not horrible in its premium plastic.
No.
Pretty bad in its base plastic. Cool stamp. I think for the active line, they have ThoughtSpace designers or whoever designs stamps for ThoughtSpace doing stamps. So the ThoughtSpace or the active line looks incredible.
Oh, yeah.
It's not super good, though.
Yeah, I like the Maestro. The Maestro and the Taylor are probably the best molds, or my favorites from that lineup. And I had higher hopes for the Taylor when I saw the numbers. It's like 4401, which is like my bread and butter, but I don't love it. The Maestro, I think, is probably my favorite out of the active line.
I agree.
It's a good mold, a little more overstable, right, than the Taylor.
Yeah, I might put it in B tier because it's a good disc that not many people are going to throw unless you're just now starting out and you're buying a starter pack. Because I feel like just not many people look for the active line. When you have like even the MD3 is slightly overstable, or the MD5 now. But the Maestro is a good disc. The active line, again, it's so cheap. You can get them in their premium plastic for $10 or less. If you go to a store, Discmania made that one starter set. At least at one point, they were selling it for $15. I don't think they're doing that anymore. I think it's $20 or $25 now. But they were selling the active line starter set for the like soft base plastic, 3 discs for $15. Unreal, unreal value. Up next on the list is the Gateway Wizard. I'm gonna struggle with this one because it's super popular now, but for a long time. It was a hidden gem, super underrated, beaded, overstable putter. Feels incredible. A million different plastics. What do you think?
Yeah, for a long time, this was like, hey, there's that one company that really just makes this one putter. That was never true, but that's what people thought was the case because the Wizard was the only thing that people threw. But yeah, they were known for the Wizard being one of the goats of the putting world. I just don't think it's slept on anymore. Everyone knows about the Wizard.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in based because it's super good, and I think the reason why people would freak out about it was because no one knew about it, and it's a really good putter. It comes in all these plastics, but I'm not going to say it's like going to, I don't know, it's not this crazy game-changing thing. It's a good putter that used to nobody know about, but now everybody knows about it. Robbie C's putting with him now. Foundation made him popular. I used them for a while. Really good disc. Incredible disc. But not like everybody knows about them now. So we're going to put it in base.
Yep.
All right. Westside Hatchet. We got some Westside discs coming at you.
Hatchet.
Starting with the Hatchet.
Oh, man.
The Hatchet
I learned
is so
to
good.
throw the roller with the Hatchet. So good.
The Hatchet was one of my first discs that I could throw consistently like hyzer flips. And I was like, oh, shoot, I'm him. But it's actually super understable 9-speed, I believe. VIP plastic, like also like $10. So good. I feel like a lot of people know about it now, but Westside as a company, definitely underrated.
Yeah, I think this could be A tier or something. I mean, it's such a good beginner disc too, and I have such good memories throwing this disc. It's so fun. It's so easy to get down to the ground on a roller if you're learning the roller shot, like so good. And then
100%.
You can really use it for rollers forever.
It's just pros do it.
So fun.
I would say it's one of the better entry point drivers for anyone. And not a lot of people know about it, primarily because they don't know Westside. But even some people who know about Westside don't know about the Hatchet. That's going to go in 8. Well, fantastic.
It's because the Underworld gets recommended, and it's a 7-speed that's flippy. True. But the Hatchet is low-key better. It's a little bit faster, but in my opinion, it is more controllable, and it is like far better for rollers, in my opinion.
100% agree. Up next is the Westside Bear.
Oh, the
I'm looking at an Ice Orbit Bear.
The Bear is so good. I love the Bear.
So good. And I feel like not a lot of people throw it. There's still not like a professional disc golfer who has their name on the Bear, unless I'm mistaken. And it's a really good disc. It's weird numbers. It's like 8, 6, -1, 2.5 or something like that. Or maybe it's just 0, -1, 2. But it's got weird numbers, so it's not a normal slot that people are like, oh, I need a 7502. Let me go on Westside and look what they've got in that slot. So I think it's super underrated. I think not a lot of people know about it, and it's super good.
Yeah, this might be an S tier. I mean, it is so good. It kind of fits that spot to me, the 7502 slot, just with slightly different numbers.
It's
but
very
to me,
similar.
the mold
it's
feels
just got weird
so
numbers.
good in the hand. And for that reason, it's hard to find when you're looking for that slot. But it really does fit that for a lot of disc golfers. I think it would be really good in a lot of bags.
I agree. I think Swanky tier, it's genuinely super underrated. Not a lot of people know about it, and it's incredible. It's a really good, slightly overstable driver.
Agreed.
Could improve your game. And then we have the Westside Harp, which now a lot of people know about. People have known about it because Ricky would throw one. But it's still not a lot of people are bagging it. I don't know. You can get them for like $7 in the base plastic, but it's pretty well known at this point. I would consider putting it in based.
Yeah, 3 years ago I would have called it overrated because of the Ricky hype.
Yeah.
But now I would just say it's based.
Based. Up next we have the Infinite Discs Emperor. So this is one that's been on our radar lately. People say we don't talk about it enough. At least those people who are Infinite Discs fans, which you can buy these anywhere. You can buy them on Disc Golf Deals. Infinite Discs is a manufacturer kind of ish, not a manufacturer. They're manufactured by Innova. They're basically destroyers, but instead of -1.3, the numbers are -1 2.5. So it's different.
Oh, it's different. Yeah.
What do you think about the Emperor?
I don't think much about the Emperor.
Okay,
it's not frequently on my mind, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I've thrown one once, and I think it was 150 grams. So I don't think that's a super good representation of what that disc does. It's not different with its plastic. It's not different with its flight all that much. But, I mean, maybe some people disagree. I think you could find a destroyer that flies like an Emperor because that's what destroyers do. So, I don't know.
Very true.
What have you thrown one?
I'm going to put it, I have, this is sort of out of our realm because we're amateurs who don't throw 450 feet. So it's not super useful for us, admittedly. I would put it
Double G throws Emperors. Guys,
That's true.
Guys worth 3 of me.
I'm going to put it in B
speed,
tier because with it being more curated than destroyers, it's probably really, really good. Probably you're going to find the like S-Blend Emperors to be more consistently overstable or more consistent than destroyers. And they're cool graphics. They look cool.
Yeah, the art is
I like
better.
them. They're underrated because not as many people will know about it than the destroyer, but a lot of people know about it now. But it is, I would say it's underrated compared to the destroyer, of course. Everything is. So I'm going to put it in B tier. It's a good disc. It's underrated.
Fair enough.
But I get recommended it all the time, and in our comments of our videos anyways. So we'll throw that up there. Next is the Infinite Discs Dynasty. And again, these are all Infinite discs, but you can find them on Disc Golf Deals USA and get 10% off if you use our link. Infinite Discs Dynasty. This is a really good disc, 9.5 -1.2, but it flies more understable than that. That is my bread and butter.
Yes, it is the old Discmania CD2 mold, which was super popular, the CD2. They don't make that anymore, obviously, but it is the exact mold, and it is super good.
I'm going to put it in A tier. Again, this is a super amateur list because we like it because it's understable and it goes really far for us, but not as many people know about it because what you see on pro disc golf coverage is the Emperor, not the Dynasty. But if you're an amateur disc golfer who throws 400, I would say even 400 feet or less, the Dynasty is going to be incredible for you. Really good for shot shaping, really good distance in the woods. Fantastic disc. Then we have the Innova, the Infinite Discs Tomb. The Tomb is a throwing putter that a lot of people are just liking this lineup of Infinite Discs like made by Innova. But the Tomb throwing putter, I've thrown it, kind of liked it. What do you think?
Yeah, I've thrown it, kind of liked it. I think it's one of their most popular discs, though. If you're gonna say that Infinite is underrated in general, which it might be, the Tomb is probably at the top of their like rated category. You know, everybody loves the Tomb.
I'm gonna put it in based. It's good, but
it's based.
I think, enough people know about it now. This is just another reminder. Let us know what we're missing. Let us know what you disagree with in the comments. This is just our opinions. We're just wanting to get some underrated discs out to you guys and talk about them a little bit. Up next, we got a little DGA streak. We got the Pipeline, I believe, is the first one up, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, the Pipeline.
Dude, I would say the Pipeline is underrated.
Yeah, the Pipeline's underrated. I think it's one of the best discs out there in general. It's an 8-speed. It's kind of like a Passion, I guess you could say, but more understated. It's pretty much a Passion, but it came out before the Passion, and it's got, I think, a less controversial hand feel. I think it's a much more simple, seamless hand feel. The Passion has a bead on the, I can't remember what we decided it was called. It has a bead on the outside of the rim. It's got a wing bead.
Yeah, the tip of the wing. Yeah, it's got a wing bead.
And a lot of people do not like that. The flight of the Passion, incredible. Very similar to the Pipeline, I would say. Depends on the Pipeline, too. You can get an overstable Pipeline here and there, but the ones that I threw were pretty understable. I like it a lot, though.
Yeah, I think it's pretty underrated, except for in our comments whenever we do a top 5 fairways video.
That's true. DGA fans are passionate, but there's not many of them.
True.
But the Pipeline's incredible. I'm going to put it in A tier. You need to be, if you're an amateur disc golfer, the numbers on the Pipeline are technically 8502, which is a bold-faced lie. That's
I would say negative
not
1,
true
1,
at all. Yeah, I would literally say negative 1, 1, maybe negative 1, 2. But the Pipeline I had an old who was sponsored by them before it was Cole Redollin's Pipeline?
Was it Marweed?
No, Shasta. It was Shasta Chris.
Oh, Shasta, yeah. Okay.
I had a Shasta Pipeline. That thing was straight up hyzer flip, 2 flat, and get a little right turn out of it. Incredible. Yeah. I loved it. 8 speeds, super underrated. A tier. Bonsai is next.
Bonsai.
The Bonsai. I have the Bonsai and the Quake on here, which the Bonsai is, I think, overstable fairway, and the Quake is an overstable mid-range, 5303. Josiah loves the Quake. I think the Quake
gets a lot of love.
Yeah, the Quake gets a lot of love because different people. I think the Bonsai, there's one DGA pro that throws the Bonsai a lot. I'm going to put the Bonsai.
Chris Dickerson throws the Bonsai.
Yes.
As a Discraft pro.
Then maybe it is super underrated.
It's pretty underrated. I feel like he's the only one on tour that throws it, but he became kind of known for throwing it. It was like, there goes that Bonsai again. He was throwing it a lot.
Yeah, we threw it. We did a whole video where we threw like the entire DGA lineup. Really liked it. I loved all of the discs. Obviously, it's Discraft plastic. It's super good, but they have cool molds.
Yeah.
I would put the Bonsai in A tier. Fantastic disc. And I'm going to put the Quake in B tier because I think Katrina Allen or somebody throws the Quake. It's pretty popular now. But still going to be underrated compared to every other overstable mid-range because it's DGA and it's much more I like it better than probably most Discraft. I like the Swarm came out by Discraft recently, but most of Discraft's overstable mids are kind of weird. All right, up next is the Legacy Discs Recluse. Speaking of overstable mid-ranges, pretty much all of Legacy Discs is going to be underrated. Not a lot of people know about Legacy Discs. Yep. The reason we did a tournament where they sponsored the player pack discs, and we were shocked. We were so surprised how good it was.
They're super good.
Yeah. What do you think about the Recluse?
The Recluse is awesome. I've compared it along with the Justice, if you're familiar, Dynamic Disc, and more recently the Simon Line Balance, the new or the Proto, the first run that came out in all those gyro boxes, flies a lot like a Recluse. Super overstable, flat out of the box with a bead. That's true of all 3 of these discs, and I really like the Recluse. So if you didn't get your hands on a new Simon Line Proto version 1 balance,
the Recluse
then go get a Recluse because you can just get one of those.
We'll throw it up in A tier.
So beefy, yeah.
Super good.
Throw that thing in the A tier, man.
And yeah, not very well known at all, but really good. I also put in the Legacy Discs Phenom because I really like this one. I would say comparable to the Pipeline. Kind of similar, slightly overstable. I believe it's an 8-speed too, but
it is.
It's a like flip to flat kind of disc. I'm going to put it in A tier also. It's just super good. Legacy discs, underrated. I think they're manufactured also by Innova. That could be wrong.
I want to say that too, but why do I feel like that's wrong?
I don't know. I don't know why Legacy, I feel like that.
Yeah, I also feel
maybe
that
their
way.
plastic just felt similar, But the Phenom and the Recluse, all legacy discs. They also have the Patriot, which I think is 7502. Great disc. Really solid plastic. Like them a lot. Now we got a little mint discs action, which mint discs growing in popularity. Admittedly, becoming much, much more popular lately.
Yeah.
The Lobster is the first one on the list. Understable, possibly the same disc. That's the thing. A lot of these smaller companies who outsource their manufacturing share kind of the same molds that these companies outsource to allow other companies to use, which is not uncommon. I've seen some people kind of mistakenly be upset at this. At least I would say mistakenly.
Yeah.
This is super common in the world. It's the difference between any sort of name brand, any hobby that you have. If you think of different name brands, most of them are like, you can even think of stuff all the way up to cars. A lot of these cars are coming from the same manufacturers. They're just different companies that make the model, that take the model and brand it. Super common for everything in life. This is just how life works. The Lobster might very well be the same as the Thought Space Mana, might be very well the same as the Jester Discs Peace Train, and maybe slight differences because when they come out with they usually give them all different plastics. Like you have this Ethos Soft that Thought Space is doing. The Lobster comes in more of a standard plastic from what I've thrown anyways. And Lobster's great. Super underrated, but I'm going to put it in B tier at this point because I think a lot of people know about it. Still underrated. Still better than the Buzz SS or the Mako 3 in my opinion.
Yes, I agree.
But a lot of people are starting to learn about the Lobster. And then next is the Bobcat. Have you ever thrown the Bobcat?
Yeah, this was that like putter speed, like 3 or 4.
I think it's 4 speed.
Overstable guy. Yeah,
but it flies more like a mid-range.
This one was a little
It's
too
interesting.
deep for my hands.
Yeah,
that's all I remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in B tier because great disc, underrated, not game changing per se, but really cool disc, underrated, B tier. And then we have the Mustang. I might have a hot take on the Mustang. I know some of our friends would not appreciate me saying this. I do not like the Mustang at all.
Oh,
what do you think?
That is a hot
take. It might
take.
literally just be a Pathfinder.
People love the Mustang.
Might just be a Pathfinder. And I think it's just the plastic. Literally the plastic I'm looking at specifically. I didn't love how that Mustang flew. It might be because I'm a Buzz person. I do like the Pathfinder too, but it's not... It does absolutely nothing special for me. It might be underrated because it flies as good as some of these other straight flying mid-ranges, but I'm not going around recommending people the Mustang, which, sorry, I know Robbie and Brad on the In the Bag podcast love the Mustang. A lot of people really love the Mustang. We threw it. We gave it a shot, but I was like, it's really not doing anything special for me. I don't know. What do you think? That's 100%
Yeah,
subjective.
Robbie and Brad sent it to me as my in the bag, like, hey, this is the disc that will fix your bag or fill a slot that might, help you. And yeah, it didn't end up staying in the bag. Sorry, Robbie and Brad, but I think it's probably B tier despite my feelings about the disc. But yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah, I'll put it in based because I don't think it's underrated. I think people know about it now, and it's normal. Because I would put it in not good, honestly. I don't even think it's that good.
Oh, shoot.
Which is crazy, I know.
That is a hot
There's
take.
no real reason to say it's not good. Like the 7502 slot, every company has one, and some companies do them better than others or more consistent than others. I don't know. The Mustang does absolutely nothing special in that slot for me, personally. The hand feel, nothing super special. Maybe it is a Pathfinder. And maybe I just like the Pathfinder because they have cool stamps. There could be 100%
Fair enough,
some placebo
right? Art
going
is important.
on, but it's not. It doesn't fly as far as like a Hex or a Buzz for me. It doesn't fly as overstable, also, which is weird. I don't know. I don't like the Mustang. Not with it. The Jackalope is next though. We like the Jackalope.
Oh, Swanky tier.
Swanky
throw it
tier.
in Swanky tier. It might be based, honestly, but throw it in Swanky
The Jackalope is what we wish the Essence was based on the Essence flight numbers, I think. The Discmania Essence is a really good disc, but they come out overstable sometimes. And I mean straight up, I have compared like an 8, I can't remember what they were. It was an 8502 disc and the Essence, and they flew identical. And you can say it's just like, oh, amateur arm speed, but when I throw the Jackalope, what are the numbers on the Jackalope?
It's like 8.6 -2.1.
Yeah,
I believe.
Which is kind of that's the same as the Essence, isn't it?
It's almost.
It's either the same, or I should have had a reference. But
maybe the glide is off.
The Essence comes out over straight up like 7.5, 8.5, 0.2 sometimes. The Jackalope consistently understable,
straight up.
Really good shot shaping disc. Absolutely love it. S tier. Couple of Viking discs.
Sure.
We're almost to the end. A couple of Viking discs. We have the Axe, which shout out to James. Got a second shot ace with the Axe in one of our videos. You can go look at our starter set video from what that would have been 2023, I think, or was it 2024? I don't know.
No, 2020. I think it was 2022.
Maybe 2022. I don't know.
I want to say 2022.
We do a starter sets challenge every year with new starter sets. This one was good. I'm going to put it in B tier. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it there because it's not crazy, but inexpensive, good. No one knows about Viking discs, straight up.
And it's the best mold from them.
Yeah, I think that or the Rune, which is next on the list, which is their putter. Also underrated for sure. Viking
Dead
discs.
Straight flyer.
It has good discs. They have good discs, and nobody knows about them. And the Rune was probably my favorite straight flying putter.
It is really good.
Might put it in A tier, kind of bottom of A tier. Not game changing or anything, but
he's a Rune
just
guy.
as good as these other big guys. Maybe better, but nobody knows about them at all. So based on
so cheap in base plastic.
Yeah, super cheap in base plastic. And then we got a couple of Jester discs to close us out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, everybody, before we do these last two. Like the video if you enjoy tier lists. We'll totally do more if you guys enjoy them. And let us know what we missed. What's your favorite disc that nobody knows about? Let us know in the comments. But our last two discs, the first one, the Jester discs, Dreamweaver. Slightly understable 7-speed. This one's a banger. I lost mine recently. I'm really bummed about it. But really good disc. Plastic's incredible, also manufactured by MVP. What do you think?
Yeah, the Dreamweaver is super good. It's what they have such a good lineup, but the Dreamweaver's probably it belongs probably in A tier because I feel like B tier is a more like it's kind of known, but it's not that underrated. Dreamweaver is on that list of like nobody knows about the Dreamweaver, and it's a super good disc.
It's really, really good.
I don't think it's game changing enough to be S tier.
No,
because there's a lot of discs out there that do what it does, but it's A tier in that you should give it a shot. It's a great disc in high quality plastic.
If I had to recommend one, even Jester discs, not very well known at all. We've been throwing them because they've been in contact with us. They're super cool people, and they make really solid discs. And the Dreamweaver is super good. And if I had to recommend one disc from Jester Discs to try out, it would probably be either the Peace Train or the Dreamweaver. The Dreamweaver would probably be people's favorites, but it's one of their most recent ones, so not as many people know about it. We've talked about the Peace Train, and we've talked about the Wild Thing and the Love. The Dreamweaver came out recently, really, really solid. And the last disc is the Love. The Jester discs, Love. What do you think?
Yeah, the Love just got me with its branding. We went out and did a review of it, and I was putting lights out that day with it, and I had been putting for PA3s for years. And I was just like, you know what? This is my sign.
It's the
I'm
exact
changing
opposite
putters,
of a PA3.
And yeah, it's the exact opposite. It's like no bead, super glidey,
very straight.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an incredible putter. I bag it in like 3 different plastics in 4 different stages of wear. I love the thing. I think it's super underrated. Yeah, it might change your game. It changed mine.
Yeah, it's super solid. Nobody's heard of it. We literally use it. So we'll throw it in Swanky tier. Let us know what you guys think. What are some of the most underrated discs out there? Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay swanky.